Our next speaker will follow a similar vein in discussing the past, but will also explore where we are going in the future. From Italy, we move to the United States with Lorraine Justice, PhD. She is currently a Dean Emerita and Professor of Industrial Design at Rochester Institute of Technology. She is the author of The Future of Design, Global Product Innovation for a Complex World, which has been translated for the Chinese market. Lorraine was the Dean of the School of Design at Hong Kong Polytechnic University, where she took the school to prominence and raised funds for Zaha Hadid's Innovation Tower, the new space for the School of Design. She is a fellow of the Industrial Design Society of America, a reviewer for several design journals, and an international consultant. Please join me in welcoming Lorraine Justice.
Well, hello, WDO. It's great to be with you now, and thank you for joining in. I'm Lorraine Justice. I'm a design professor, a Dean Emerita, a fellow of IDSA, and been in the design field, it seems like, my entire career, but I've loved it. It's been the most incredible journey. And I wanted to just share a few thoughts with you today, mostly about where design's been. And I want to say I've lived through a lot of these eras, and I just want to kind of talk about how a lot of that unfolded. And then I'll talk about where we're headed. And then I'd like to say what we need for new leadership. And so bear with me. And, for the younger people, I'm not going to talk about how we used to have our T-squares holding up our computer tables now, and how we had to rinse our rapidograph pens every night. We had old tools that we used, but they worked well at the time. But, a lot of people think industrial design or design really started eons ago with arts and crafts. And it wasn't just about how to build things. It was about aesthetics. How can you make these objects enhanced in some way? And that led to ownership with objects and relationships with objects. That would have been from eons back, but some people believe that design really started with architectural and engineering areas. And that really brought in structure and how things work, and a drawing style from architecture that was borrowed. And so that would have been really in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and maybe a little earlier. In the 40s and 50s and 60s, we really took on advertising and psychology. And for me, this was really the human element in a lot of this. So we've got these areas that fed into design and continue till this day. And the thing is, those areas aren't going away, those influences. It's just about more. And that's fine. So in the 80s and 90s, we had a huge leap in design. And there was a lot of, I want to say, disparity in the field. Some people didn't want technology. Some people didn't want design research, and they felt that it was going to alter the field. And in fact, it did, because up until then, designers were the rock stars and gods, and they designed what they felt was great. And then we realized, we really need to get input from people to see what they want. We need to open up the teams. And so in this era, design just blossomed. It opened up. But it was frustrating. I mean, you'd go to parties and you'd say, oh, I'm a designer. And they'd say, what's a designer? So it's getting a little bit better. But anyway, we're all going to keep at it. So with technology, we not only got computing, but we got software, and we got systems and new ways of looking at how we can automate things. And with human factors, we started to look at ergonomics. Do the products fit? Are the graphics legible? Is the space something that is comfortable for people? And is it safe? So we had a lot of this influence from the human factors. Then came design research was mixed in with all of this. And I remember that at first design research was not wanted in the field. They felt that it would bring in different voices that maybe wouldn't matter or would even lead us astray. And a lot of this is, should we talk to the client and the user? Well, today that's, it's a moot point. We actively engage the users or clients in the process and seek information from them and more. And the design research has allowed us to look at cultures and how we can design successfully for those different cultures around the world. I had one of my most eye-opening experiences when I put the American dream in storage in Atlanta and moved to Hong Kong. And I was in the minority. I was a Western person in an Eastern culture, and my world just completely flipped. And I thought I was going to learn about China, Asia, and all that, and I did. But I also learned about the West and how we're such linear thinkers and individuals. So there's all these other cultural aspects that were important. So during all those earlier times, there was something that I want to call the traditional design process that product, graphic, interior, and environmental design used. And it was really about defining a problem up front and then searching for the proper answers. Well, down the road, design thinking came along. And when we look at design thinking, it really opened up, especially that front end of, first of all, is it a valid problem, or do we need to find an opportunity? Or it just allowed people to really open up the issues and look at many, many more, I want to say, complex problems, things that designers really hadn't been working on before. And so this got pretty exciting. So I finished a book a year ago, and I realized in doing the research for that book that I'm calling it design reasoning. We really needed to look at our design reasoning. In other words, design thinking and the design process gives us this great breadth. But really, what was going on in all of those decisions and thoughts that happen very quickly, even when we're sketching? What was really going on? And I think in the future, we need to examine that further. I think it will uncover a lot of bias. It will uncover a lot of beliefs that the designers themselves have brought in from culture, their religion, family, friends, their profession, the government, or even from ourselves. What did we decide when we were 12 years old that has still stayed with us and is affecting some of the things we design? So the future is wide open, and it's exciting and scary at the same time. So let's talk a little bit about where we're headed. And the key word for this is more. It's going to be more technology, more data, heightened aesthetics, focus on the human condition, and biodesign. Those are just a few of the things. And we're already in that future. It's just very uneven and it's progressing at a rapid pace. And it's very exciting. And, some people love technology. Some people still, they want to kind of keep it at arm's length. And there's value in both of those views. But when we look at all of the sensors that are going to be embedded in our future products, the materials that will be made with technology, artificial intelligence that will help us understand things better and train better, augmented reality, where we can also use that for understanding environments and deciding on what might be best. It would be great for design research. But then we get to things like robots, one of my favorite topics. And when we think about robots, immediately I start to think about ethics. And really for any of the type of technology, ethics will be a very big issue. And a lot of times the designers and the design team, they're the first ones to really address ethics in design. So more of that. In the future, more data. We'll be getting more collected data. But the tricky thing is, how is it gathered and how is it going to be used? If it's used to coerce you into doing a particular type of design, you'd be aware of that, but sometimes it's very subtle and you need to really look at how those things are being used. Heightened aesthetics. We've always had aesthetics. We don't want it to go away in design. But what I'm saying is, since we may be manufacturing less things, we may have to put extra emphasis on those aesthetics, whatever they're going to be. We'll always have aesthetics with graphic design, interior design, environmental. And, that's the thing that really makes our area very rich. Focus on the human condition. My goodness. That will stay with us. We need to help. We need to help the environment. We need to help the human condition, all of the above. I did some earlier research and it was very dark. It was a group of people who estimated how, if we don't do anything to help, how long the human race might live on Earth. And there were ranges everywhere from 200 years if nuclear things explode, to 2,000 years from environmental degradation. And so we're looking at some of these, and I use them just as a reminder that we need to really help in all areas. The other area is biodesign. And, we're already designing new missing limbs. We're designing better medical products. But I also see, unfortunately, we're going to be designing body armor if things continue in a particular way. In other words, how do we protect the body? So I want to finish up with leadership. And through all these years and through all of this and being managed and managing designers and professors and so on, there are some things that are extremely important. One is courage. Courage, you have to speak up when you don't, it may not be the time to speak up, but you may have to speak up, especially as a design manager. You have to have that courage to go to bat for certain things, to inform your team about certain things, and courage to forge ahead. I found that is one of the things I've had to really call on in myself and to move forward and to help other people and speak up. And most of all, support design. So keep at that. I think a lot of the design leaders need to maintain or have their passion for design. It's very, very important that you care about design and want to promote the field. We've come a long way. I remember when design was not on anybody's radar, and now it is. And it's because of a lot of our leaders in the last years have spoken up, have stood by, have started companies, have taught students, have done new research, and we just need more of that around the world. So it's pretty exciting. Our leaders need to be fair and trustworthy. If someone is a little dodgy or cagey, it may mean they don't have the information or authority. And so you need to really get behind, what is happening with leadership and how you can understand and then help. Flexible. You have to be flexible in so many ways. And as designers, we're always looking at what could be better or what's not there and what can we, help with, put there, and so on. Knowledgeable. It really, you have to dedicate your life to keeping up with technology, trends in your area, especially to become expert. But it's great because seasoned designers are gifts. It's like a muscle that they've been using for years and years. And so, we treasure our young designers, but we also treasure our more seasoned designers. Of course, our leaders have to be empathetic and intelligent about emotional issues and be able to read people. And most designers are. We're tuned into what people want, what people need for the most part. They need to be communicators. They need to be able to communicate up the line and to their own team and also individually, even if it's, an awkward situation. But communication is key. It helps people navigate. It really makes the team better. They need to be a team builder and know how you can move things through teams. I've been working on bias in design, and it's very awkward in conversations, to think about where is your bias, and some of those discussions may need to be confidential, but some of them may need to come together as a team. And lastly, I think, and there's more, but lastly, I believe that design leadership needs to help build careers. They need to help the individual designer find a way for them to move ahead, to stay engaged, to feel valued. And that's important because a lot of people have dropped out of the design field. They weren't nurtured, they weren't mentored, they weren't felt like it was like they didn't make any difference. And, we all have that internal passion that keeps us going, but it really is important to get some affirmation or confirmation that you're on the right track. But aside from that, I have to say that I've had an extraordinary life in design, and it totally changed my life in design. Being in design, first of all, I've made friends and a network worldwide that makes me feel good to be a part of, to know these people. They're amazing leaders around the world and new and up and coming leaders around the world. And it's so exciting for what the next generations are going to do. But I personally got to experience so many things because I was in the design profession, and it evolved, and I evolved with it. And it was really, I want to say, one of the best things that happened to me to be in the design field and know the people I know and help wherever I can. So I'm going to sign off for now and say, we've come a long way. and we've done a lot, but where we're headed is amazing. And we need all of you to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Lorraine, for that engaging presentation. It's always such a pleasure to have you share your expertise with us.